Well, at times in that NFC Championship game, we heard from John Lynch and Steve Wilkes. There wasn't a lot of urgency coming from the 49ers defense. Hopefully they fix that for the Super Bowl as we get connected with Brian Baldinger, courtesy of the Boxer Girls and Guest Line, and presented by our proud partner, Golden State, serving the Bay Area for 3 generations. Building better starts with Golden State. When you succeed, we succeed. Visit GoldenStateLumber.com. Baldy live in Las Vegas. Day 2 of Super Bowl week, man. Opening night was last night at Allegiant Stadium. Vegas is booming. Can't wait to get down there, Baldy. Look like he got some sleep, though, man. I'm surprised. Surprised you showed up, Baldy.
Well, I wouldn't say that, Bonte. I wouldn't say. I mean, it was the beginning of a long week. I've got to figure out exactly how to pace myself here because there's a lot going on. Phones ringing all the time. Let's meet up. So I got to figure out a way to make sure I can get to Sunday with my voice and, somewhat of a healthy-looking glow here this morning.
When did you first start to hear, because you've been part of the NFL for so long, Baldy, when did you first start hearing rumblings about the NFL possibly having a Super Bowl in Las Vegas or even having a football team? Because now, Shaska and I were kicking this around yesterday, 5 years ago, it was hard to imagine Las Vegas becoming the sports capital of the nation. Seriously. They got a hockey team that's won a Stanley Cup.
Yep.
WNBA team went back-to-back. They get all the prize fights, boxing, UFC. They're going to get an NBA team. They're going to get a baseball team. The NFL draft was there. The Raiders are there. Now we got Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas. Would you first believe that, wow, Vegas could be hosting big-time events when it comes to the NFL?
I thought, Ante, that's a great question, Bonte. I honestly think that the success of the Vegas Knights kind of greased the skids for everybody. Winning the Stanley Cup, the way that they did it, the fandom that showed up. I mean, hockey in Las Vegas, who would have thought, all that. But I thought once the NFL saw that, and hey, players weren't getting in trouble, there wasn't a conflict, it was just another rink in a city that really took to sports, obviously, with everything that's going on. And so I thought that really helped. The Raiders needed a new home. Levi was not an option. And so I thought they're looking for a new home. Vegas has had success. The city is growing like crazy. There's a support here for sports. I thought that was kind of the beginning, Bonte, even before, they made the move.
All right, Baldy, let's get into this team, this Chiefs team for a second.
Yep.
You're a lover of sports like I am, and there are certain players that are just like in the middle of their career. Before they even hit 30, we could feel they're generational. They're old times. Steph, Ricky Henderson, LeBron, Magic, Jordan, Ken Griffey, right? Certain guys.
Yeah.
I think Patrick Mahomes is one of those kind of guys. What does the film tell you about who Patrick Mahomes is as a quarterback? When you look at film more than anyone, Baldy, who is he?
Well, he's in that category of, the athletes you just mentioned. He's in that category in real time. It's interesting, Joe, because, I'm getting that question in some form or another quite a bit. And, I was in Baltimore last week, and I've been around him a lot, going back to Texas Tech. But it's kind of amazing. His routine never changes. Like if I go to Golden State here, if I go down to the arena and I watch Steph, he's got his warm-up coach. The warm-up never changes. It doesn't matter if it's, a Tuesday night in February or it's the NBA Finals. The routine never changes. And honestly, that's what Mahomes is. Like when you watch him warm up, he came out on the field at MM&T Bank Stadium last week, and he had his sweats on. He runs over to the bench. He sits down with the trainers and, the ball, and all the equipment people, and he kind of shoots the, just like talks it up there for a little bit, and then he takes off the cape and he starts warming up the arm. And everybody, the entire receiving corps, backs, tight ends, receivers, they all start like catching these passes from him. And it's a warm-up that you could take. I don't care if it was 33 below in Kansas City against Miami, last week in the mist against Baltimore, or if it was week 1. Yeah. The routine never changes. And I feel like when he threw that first touchdown pass to Travis Kelce against Kyle Hamilton, the perfect throw that it was, it's perfect, and it was perfect, and it had to be perfect against Hamilton. But he makes the same throw on the same route 10 times to Travis Kelce in warm-ups. And it's almost like it's just an extension of all of what he does to get ready to play a game. And it doesn't ever deviate. And I think the great ones have that sort of a warm-up and that sort of preparation and practice habits.
Well, Baldy, I'm glad you brought up Travis Kelce because I'm looking at his route tree for Baltimore. I look like this guy's playing street football. This is something you play in the street. he's not even running routes because of the rapport that he has with Patrick Mahomes. It's some of the best chemistry we've ever seen from a duo, whether it's Montana to Rice, Brady to Gronk. Now we get Mahomes to Kelsey. How can the Niners, because Kelsey catches 11 passes on 11 targets, just fascinating stuff in the AFC title game. When you don't know what route he's running, and he's not running normal routes, what's the best method to try to take him out of this football game on Sunday?
Well, the problem with trying to take him out, to your question, is that most of the catches last week were behind the line of scrimmage. And so they run these routes. They were running these same routes when, before Travis Kelce ever got there, before Mahomes was ever the quarterback. Alex Smith was running these routes to tight ends. But, they're looking at how the defense is deployed. And if you're off, they're going to throw 3-yard stick routes. They call it stash rash for whatever reason. That's the name of it. But they threw a bunch of them last week that were just drive starters. 4 yards turns into 6 yards. 6-yard routes turn into 8 or 9 yards.
Right.
They ran on 4th and 2 in the opening drive of the game. They ran sprint right option. Joe Montana was running that same route in 1981, to probably Brent Jones if he was there then. But, on the backside, Kelsey's just running a drag that they never throw. They never throw the drag on the backside, except it's Kelsey. And Mahomes just flipped it to him. Like, it didn't even think twice about it. And so the rapport is there, but I believe that you've got to get hands on Kelsey.
Yeah.
Like, you just can't let him get started. You can't let him get into your routes. And Baltimore really didn't do that. It's not really how they play. They can. If they had to do it all over again, they probably would change it. But I think you've got to get your hands on him, and it's worth it to do it. And make Mahomes wait on him, and if it's not there, make him go someplace else.
When I look at some of the great duos in sports, at least in football, Brady to Gronk, Brady to Welker, Brady to Edelman, Joe to Jerry, Steve to Jerry, Aikman to Irving. What makes Mahomes and Kelsey unique from some of the other great combinations that the league has seen?
Well, first of all, you got to understand just how big Travis is. Like, he's got he's every bit of 6'5". He's got great length, and he's so smooth as a runner. And then he's got his hands are as fast as his feet. So, like, he can just be running in full, he never looks like he's running full speed because he glides. And that's when you watch him warm up, that's what he does. He just glides. So he covers a lot of ground very easily. And so when you got a player that has that sort of length, and then he can just glide, you almost can't be wrong sometimes if you're just throwing it to a spot. He's easy to locate when you're running a scramble drill, or it's the play after the X's and O's, is over, and Mahomes now in scramble mode. Like, all those things make him an easy target. And then he just understands, like, if he was playing basketball, he would understand low post basketball and how to get you on his hip and how to, you position himself. And so all those things, they look like they're tricks or secret chemistry. All those things are in play. And when you listen to either one of them try to describe the question you just asked, Joe, like, where's the chemistry? They can't even describe it. They really can't. And sometimes you just can't put words on it. You just have to show video of it.
Yeah, no doubt. Brian Baldinger here on No Morning Roast, courtesy of the Boxer and Gerson guest line. Thinking about this Niners defense, Charvarius Ward said in the second half against Detroit, they ran a lot more man defense. They got out of the zone because Detroit was just slicing them up. Now, Kansas City, they kill zones. We know that. How much can you get away with playing man defense against Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, especially with Andy Reid calling the plays?
Well, the problem you have, if you're going to play man or a lot of man, or at least perceived man coverage, is that Mahomes is going to read that coverage, and that's when he can be dangerous, take off with it. If he sees Dre Greenlaw turning and running, with the tight end, with Kittle, with Kelsey, that gives him an open lane to go, and he'll take it. He'll take whatever you want to give him,
right?
Whatever down and this and this. So it's like you have to change it up. You got to mix it up. You got to give him different looks. You just can't play straight man. It might be the best way to defend that team, but it's not the best way to defend Mahomes.
If a bunch of aliens came down to Earth and they said, explain why Andy Reid is good at coaching and at play calling, how would you break it down for them?
Well, it would start like this, Joe, that I don't think anybody in any profession loves his job more than Andy loves his job. So it starts there. It starts with just a complete love of the game. I remember when he first got the job in Philadelphia, and I went over and I met him day one, and I was doing one of his games early on, and he brought me into his office, and he had this binder that he showed me that he was putting together under, when he was there with Mike Holmgren in Green Bay. And it just this level of preparation, the old 5 Ps, prior preparation prevents poor performance, all that's like he had that going on in that binder. Like that thing was his Bible, and then he's a tireless worker. I mean, honestly, sleeps, I don't think he gets 4 hours a night. But he can exist on that. Like most people can't. He's not a caffeine. He doesn't drink caffeine, all that stuff. But he can exist on 3 or 4 hours of sleep and put all of his attention into game plans and tinkering. Like I remember when they got T.O. in Philadelphia. His whole offense changed.
Right.
The day he got T.O. It was bombs away. So he's always been able to cater his offense and tinker with his offense to whatever personnel he has. And even last year on the touchdowns to Sky Moore and to Kadarius, he found that motion in a game that Jacksonville ran against the Eagles, and Doug Peterson ran that motion, and he saw where the Eagles struggled with it, and they got 2 touchdowns off it. So there's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing that he won't try to unveil as he prepares for this game.
Yeah, it's a scary thought facing Andy Reid. Coming off a bye week in the Super Bowl, we're talking to Brian Baldinger here on the Morning Roast as we do every single Tuesday at 7:30, courtesy of the Boxer Girls and Guest Line. All right, Niners offense, Brock Purdy, Deebo Samuel coming back against Detroit the way they did. What's the way to attack the Kansas City defense and Spags here? Do you run the ball? Do you pass the ball? What's the balance of attack here that you see from this Kansas City defense where Shanahan and the Niners offense can exploit it?
Well, I think this is one of those games where Kyle Shanahan's first 15 is really going to be important. He's going to throw formations at him. He's going to throw motions. He's going to throw a lot at him to see how Spags really kind of lines up. Like last week against Baltimore, they lined up with 3 big linebackers. They stuffed the run on the first play and really discouraged Baltimore from running it early. They did the same thing on the first play of the third quarter, and it worked. So I think it's really important to see how Kyle kind of reads because Spags' game plan can be as varied as any in this league.
Right.
He's the best big game coordinator, defense coordinator that we have seen in 20 years.
Yep.
And he's got really smart young players that play a lot of different positions. And so I think it's really important to see how Kyle kind of reads. It's like that first 2 rounds in a boxing match where you're just kind of feeling each other out. And I feel this is the matchup of the game. Kyle Shanahan against Steve Spagnuolo. And how you get Brock into good positions and where they attack with the ball.
Right.
And how often McCaffrey gets it and how he gets it and what runs take off. So I think this is the matchup of the game that's going to dictate the game. And I think it's really important for Kyle to kind of read the tea leaves of what Spags is doing to figure out, obviously they came out in the second half against Detroit. It was like, let's attack.
Right.
We're attacking. We're down 17. We got to, and they did. Now, I don't think they're going to start the game like that, but it will be interesting to see how Spags matches up against the formations and shifts and motions that Kyle's going to throw at him.
So on the Brock Purdy thing, what's it like for a player like Brock Purdy? This first big scrutiny week. I mean, this is huge. This is not like anything else he's ever been. How do you not let it consume you? Like all of the paralysis by analysis, just the hype, everything that's going into this. I mean, the guy a little bit. So how does he not let this all get to him?
I think one of the reasons why he's been as successful as he's been, Joe, is because he has not let any of that stuff affect him. The outside noise and the detractors and all the stuff that's out there. I mean, he's the center of the universe right now. And I think he's just as level-headed as always. We've all seen the clip last week of Nick Bosa in the locker room saying to him, like, man, how are you always this confident? Nick is asking him. I was second pick in the draft, right, and I'm not this confident. I wasn't always this confident. So I think the way he's wired, and one of the reasons why Kyle fell in love with him early was because he seemed like he was just detached from all of the noise. And so I think that's part of it. I think some players that have played in this game, George Kittle, whatever, have played in the Super Bowl, they can tell him certain things, but I don't think they will. I don't think they're going to hey, there's a 30-minute halftime in the pregame, with the flyovers and the national anthem and all the, it's different. They can say that to him. I think he's I think he kind of knows already, when the kickoff happens and we take the field, like I know what I'm doing. And I think all the other stuff that goes on that can be part of the atmosphere, that can really take away from what your concentration should be, I think he's got this figured out.
Yeah. Baldy, what makes this Chiefs secondary so good? Because the matchup, you're right, Shanahan, Spags, that's a fascinating matchup, could determine the game. But Debo, Ayuk, Jennings against that Chiefs secondary, what makes that Chiefs secondary so good with Snead and McDuffie and company?
Well, he's got a lot of really good young talent. Trent McDuffie is as good a corner as we've seen come into this business. He can play inside, he can play outside, he can play, down in the box. They got a lot of Joshua Williams, Jalen Watson. They got a lot of good young players. But really, the king dog is L'Jarius Sneed. Like, L'Jarius he plays the game. Honestly, I feel like he should be back in that era with stick him on his hands.
Wow.
And just punking guys at the line of scrimmage.
Lester Hayes.
He's going to take his shots on all these guys, whether it's Ayuk or Debo. He's going to challenge them. And, he's not afraid. Like, if they get behind him, he's got help. He's going to pick his spots like he did Tyreek in the game, where he just jammed him at the line and, literally broke his he broke his spirit, on the play. He didn't recover. Like, L'Jarius he's going to get paid a bunch of money this offseason. But the guy can flat out run, and so he feels like he's got catch-up speed. I think he's got all that. Justin Reid was just one of those free agent finds that you just go, all right, he's in a bad organization, Houston, but he'll flourish in Kansas City.
Wow.
And I think, they all wear T-shirts. In Spags, we trust. Spags hates it. He hates the T-shirt. He wish they wouldn't do it, but he gives them, a lot of attention. But that's truly it. They believe in what Steve is doing. And so while they blitz in a way where he's always looking for an opportunity to blitz, he can't tell you when he's going to do it on, Tuesday morning. But game day, he's looking for that chance. And if you're going to do it as often as in the way that they do it, you can't break down on the back end. You can't give up 6. Mm-hmm. And they don't. And so they're all in. They're all sitting in the front row, during meetings, taking their notes, making sure they know what they're doing.
I mean, that fourth quarter, the last Super Bowl, Chiefs-Niners, Chris Jones dominated down the stretch. Yep. I mean, he just dominated. And I see these PFF advanced grades of, the playoffs and where Chris Jones ranks, and I'm like, how is he so low when I watch this guy and all he does is dominate? He just, crucial moments, they need a big play. He gets a pressure. He forces the quarterback to make a mistake. He lines up all across the line. How do they slow this man down? To me, he's one of the best players we don't talk about enough in the league. I mean, this has got to be one of your favorite players, right, Baldy?
Yeah, he is. In fact, he came over to me on the sideline just as he was going to the locker room before the kickoff last week. And just basically, I appreciate everything you do. But I'm going to answer the question, but I'm going to ask this question to you, Joe, first.
Yeah.
You're a baseball fan. Yeah. You got your San Francisco Giant hat on, okay? Who's your favorite closer of all time?
Oh, of all time? I mean, I'm probably going to go Rod Becker, Rodnan for the Giants. And Mariano Rivera or Trevor Hoffman would be the answer.
All right,
overall.
Mariano, Trevor, but you got your favorite. He's a closer. There's a lot of great defensive linemen in this league. There's a lot of great defensive players. Mm-hmm. Not all of them know how to close. He knows how to close. He knows, if you go back to AFC Championship game last year against Cincinnati, Joe Burrow couldn't drop back to his 5th step and he was getting hit. He's a massive guy that moves, got light on his feet, got ballerina feet. He's going to find the pigeon on your offensive line, and he's going to wear him out, whatever that is, and whoever that is. He's just going to find the weakness.
So where is that weakness? Where is that weakness on the 49ers offensive line this week? I mean, because they're playing well right now, running the ball. I know
they play well as a group, but Chris will let you know on Sunday.
Yeah. So we'll see where it is. We'll see if he's lined up over McKivitz or Brindle. Oh, it's going to be fascinating stuff. Christian McCaffrey in this game. I feel like we need to see a heavy dose of Christian. I know we talk about the touches, and next year, coming off of 400-plus touches. Well, next year's next year, Baldy. Next season's next season. It feels like CMC needs to touch the ball at least 25 times in this game.
Well, he can, and he will, if you can sustain offense. If you're 3 and out, it's hard to keep giving the ball to Christian McCaffrey if he's on the bench.
Right.
So it's all about sustaining offense and staying on the field. You stay on the field and they get 70 plays, he's going to get 25 touches.
Right.
And so that's paramount. When you're in Philadelphia and you're 3 and out, to start the game 2 straight series in a row, you're not going to get McCaffrey into a rhythm. The more touches he gets, the better he gets. And so, he's got 4 touchdowns in the postseason. He'd love to make it 6, but he's got to, you got to put him in a position to do it. I want to see how Kyle gets him matched up in a passing game against who he gets him matched up, because he can do that. Not all the time, but you can get your matchup when you want it. He's done it in a lot of games against linebackers that they probably don't feel like he can cover. Maybe it's Drew Tranquil. Maybe it's double moves against Willie Gay. I'm not sure what it is, but there's going to be a matchup in a passing game where it's just going to be Steph Curry ISO'd, and you're just going to clear it out for him.
All right, Baldy, I want to squeeze in some because we're coming up against it. Rapid fire. Just give me quick answers on these ones. Guy on the Chiefs who's flying under the radar.
I would probably say Justin Watson.
All right, I like that. Guy on the Niners who's flying under the radar.
I'll say Tig Brown.
Okay. Have you met Taylor Swift yet?
No. I know she's from Reading, Pennsylvania. And at one point in my life, we were going to move to Reading, Pennsylvania, and that's the only connection I have. I don't know any songs. I couldn't tell you one song.
Okay.
I'm with you, Baldy.
Who's the celebrity you have to run into this week?
Oh, I mean, I'd love to see Bono on Friday night. U2 at the Sphere. I'd love to see that.
Winner of this game.
I just can't go against Mahomes. I can't do it, Joe. I want to pick the 49ers, and I think, they have everything it takes to win the game, but I just can't go against the combination of Mahomes, Andy Reid, and Spags right now.
I'm not mad at you for that. I'm not mad at you.
I'm not here to upset the 49ers.
No, it's all love. It's all love, buddy.
There's still time to kind of, there's still some film to unveil and to watch before Sunday, and something might trigger me. But early, it's Tuesday morning, guys. Things can change. But right now, it's just hard for me to go against that trio of men I just mentioned.
Where are you going to eat? Where's the spot you got to go eat in Vegas, Baldy? Because we'll be down there this weekend.
Tomahawk?
I was just eating a tomahawk last night at Barry's up here at Circa. I was in the meat. I took a picture in the meat locker with all the cuts of meat right there. Man, I felt like this is the only place I want to be, is in this meat locker, trying to figure out what my next meal is going to be.
Man, so you'll be at the game Sunday. I hope you are, right?
I'm not going to be at the game. I'm flying home on Saturday.
No.
Oh, you got to be kidding me,
I'm break it down literally Sunday night after the game.
We're going.
Films.
All right, we don't get in until Saturday. I don't get in until Saturday night, so we're going to miss you, Baldy. We're going to miss you.
Well, I'm going to miss you then too, guys.
Hey.
But we'll reconvene and maybe talk about a 49er victory in Super Bowl 58, in that massive war chest of the 49ers.
Baldy, one last thing here. If you were starting a team from scratch, all the players who've ever played this game, are you taking Mahomes number 1 overall?
Yes.
Yeah, not a question.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Why is that a shock?
That's what we're going up against.
No, I know.
That's what I've tried to tell people.
Hey, Baldy, last year when Mahomes came to Levi Stadium,
wow.
I swear to God,
Over
I think Mahomes did last year at Levi Stadium. He took for 423, 5 touchdowns. It's one of the 5 greatest regular season performances I've ever seen from quarterbacks. You remember the old Jim Kelly, Steve Young game at Candlestick Park? It was over 1,000 yards. Yeah, Drew Bledsoe and Dan Marino, Joe Robbie Stadium with the baseball infield. They're going at it, going 38-35. Mahomes, what he did last year at Levi Stadium. So I think we understand what Mahomes is. That's why I feel like the Niners got to score at least 30 in this game to have a chance. At least 30.
I think that's probably right. I think they've got to put up a 30 spot. It might be one of those games where we've just seen 2 weeks in a row now where they got to come down the field, to win the game at the end, and get into the 30s and win it.
All right, Baldy. What did you think of Shanahan last night, by the way, before we let you go?
A little loose, huh?
I was happy with Shanahan's answers, man. Some people think he was a little loose.
I didn't see it, so I didn't know.
Oh, you didn't see it? All right. Nah, he was talking. A lot of people thought he maybe have a shot or two, but hey, it is Vegas. It is a Monday night. Go enjoy yourself.
Yeah, piano.
Look, he's under the spotlight. He's under the spotlight. Right. One way or the other, he's under the spotlight. Let's see. He's a master play caller. He needs. I thought 2 years ago, Sean McVay was a master play caller down the stretch. Final drive of the game to win the game. It was all Cooper Kupp. Kyle's gonna need that kind of performance.
All right, Baldy. Enjoy Las Vegas, man. Survive out there. We'll continue to watch your work on Twitter at Baldy NFL, man. We'll talk
about
you,
buddy.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Always.
Anytime, Baldy. Brian Baldinger here on the Boxer Girls and Guest line on 95.7 The Game.